Welcome to CBR English. This is Naresh Kumar. Let's pause the inside news. The first phase of Telangana Panchayat elections has begun across 189 mandals, covering 3,800 Gram Panchayatis and 37,440 wards. More than 5.6 million voters are expected to cast their votes at 37,562 polling stations. Polling started at 7 a.m. with counting to follow immediately after. In the phase, 395 sarpanchs were elected unanimously, while 12,960 candidates are contesting for sarpanch posts and 65,455 ward member positions. Over 1 lakh polling staff and 50,000 police personnel have been deployed, with webcasting in 3,000 villages to monitor proceedings. Authorities reported seizures worth 8.20 crore rupees under the election code, registering 229 FIRs. Liquor shops in polling mandals were ordered shut. The elections will be held in 3 phases statewide. The first phase of Gram Panchayat elections is underway in Bhadradri, Kottagudem district, Telangana, with the voters turning out at polling stations since morning to cast their ballots. Authorities have deployed polling staff and security personnel to ensure smooth conduct while the elections marked a crucial step in shaping grassroots governance across the state.
नेशनल फोटोग्राफी पंप दिया నాలుగు ప్లేస్లలో మేము మంచి నిమిషానికి మాట్లాడుతున్నాం.
क्या मालूम ये स्लिप लेने ले जाने वाला अच्छा ले जाने అయినా ఫ్యాక్టర్ రాసి ఇక్కడే ఉంటున్నారు ఇక్కడే
రెండో వార్డు సార్ రెండో నెంబర్ సార్
ఏం పేరండి?
రమేష్ పెళ్లి
ఇప్పుడు ఎంత నెంబర్?
In Kannur, Kerala, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan exercised his franchisee during the ongoing local body elections. His participation underscored the significance of the polls, which are being closely watched across the state as they shape grassroots governance. The event drew attention from both political observers and the public, highlighting the democratic processes at the local level.
భార్య సంరక్షించాలి మగన్ విదేశీలను పోటీ पिक्चर बैकग्राउंड
Ramadan 130 Nivesh Kiran.
In Kannur, Kerala Pradesh Congress Committee, KPCC President Sunny Joseph exercised his franchisee during the ongoing local body elections. His participation highlighted the importance of the grassroots democratic processes and drew attention to the role of political leadership in shaping local governance. The polls are being closely watched across the state as they determine representation at the village and municipal levels, reinforcing the foundation of Kerala's democratic framework. In Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath attended the Janata Darshan program, where he interacted directly with the citizens and listened to their grievances. He assured people of timely redressal and issued necessary instructions to the official present, emphasizing accountability and swift action. The initiative reflects the government's effort to maintain close engagement with the public and ensure that administrative machinery responds effectively to local concerns.
प्रधानमंत्री आवास कहाँ का मामला है? आपके पास आवास नहीं है, रहने वाले कहाँ के हैं? कहाँ है जिनको आवास उपलब्ध कराओ? घबराओ, कोई मिलेगा, उपचार करवाओ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं
कराओ। इसमें जल्दी से एक समय सीमा के अंदर पैरवी करवा करके और पैसा दिलाओ, कार्रवाई हम कार्रवाई करवाएंगे। इसी का मामला क्या चाहते हैं आप? ये सफाई कर्मचारी पॉलिटेक्निक को बोल दो।
Visuals from the India Gate area this morning highlighted the Delhi's worsening air quality, with the city's average AQI recorded at 273 categorized as poor. According to CPCB data, Anand Vihar registered 300, Ashok Vihar 328, Chandni Chowk 305, and ITO 309, all falling to the very poor range. In the NCR region, Noida and Greater Noida reported AQI levels of 233 and 243 respectively. Also in the poor category, these readings reflect persistent pollution concerns across the capital and adjoining cities, raising health risks for residents and prompting continued monitoring by the authorities. At Bharat Mandapam in Delhi, President Draupadi Murmu inaugurated the National Conference on Enduring Everyday Essentials, Public Services and Dignity for All. In her address, she emphasized that universal human rights are the foundation of a just and compassionate society. Murmu highlighted India's historic role in shaping the global human rights framework, noting that freedom fighters envisioned a world rooted in dignity, equality, and justice. She invoked the ancient Indian value of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world as one family, as a reflection of the universal rights. Stressing India's sustained commitment, she pointed to the country's unopposed election to the UN Human Rights Council for its 7th term beginning in 2026. Murmu underscored that peace and justice are inseparable, and India's constitutional vision ensures rights are both protected and celebrated.
मुर्मू जी to kindly address us and show us the future path. जोरदार तालियां माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया के लिए.
Chairperson of National Human Rights Commission, Shri Justice V. Ramasubramaniam ji, members of National Human Rights Commission, Dr. Justice Vidyut Ranjan Sodangi ji, Mrs. Vijaya Bharati Sayani, Secretary General Shri Bharat Ral ji, UN Residence Coordinator in India, Mrs. Arati Sayani ji, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar, Johar, good morning. I am happy to join you all for commemorating the Human Rights Day. It is an occasion to remind us that the universal human rights are unalienable, and they form the bedrock of a just, equitable, and compassionate society. 77 years ago, the world came together to articulate a simple yet revolutionary truth, that every human being is born free and equal in dignity and rights. India played an important role in shaping a global framework of human rights. Our freedom fighters envisioned a world rooted in human dignity, equality, and justice. Hansabhen Mehta, one of the 15 women members of our Constituent Assembly, was also a member of the group engaged in the drafting of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. She suggested a foundational change to the draft. She ensured that the rights enshrined in that global charter were expressed not in terms of the rights of men, but in the inclusion and universal expression rights of all human beings. That such a historic shift was brought about by the expansive vision of an Indian woman is a matter of enduring pride for every Indian. Thus, India embraced the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a co-creator of a universal moral covenant which resonated.
The Supreme Court Bar Association (SCBA) organized its annual day and night cricket match at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi, featuring a spirited contest between the CJI 11 and SCBA 11. The event blended camaraderie and competition, bringing together members of the judiciary and the bar in a festive sporting atmosphere. Such matches have become a tradition, fostering a collegiality beyond the courtroom and celebrating the lighter side of legal fraternity life.
आपने हौसला अफजाई की, तब तिवारी जी को एहसास हुआ कि गलत कर रहे थे। और ये नहीं, 4 रन नहीं है। और ये मार दिया, कोई बॉल नहीं पकड़ेगा। राजीव भैया छोड़िए बॉल को। इतने प्रयास से पंचोली सर ने मारा था, बहुत गलत बात है। अगली बार से आप नहीं खेलेंगे SCBA 11 में। नहीं आउट, मैं कमेंट्री कर रहा था, नॉट आउट। डिस्टर्ब हो गए जस्टिस मनमोहन। जस्टिस मनमोहन ने 18 रन बनाए। लेकिन आप सीरियस प्लेयर पहुंच चुके हैं। पहले भी सीरियस प्लेयर थे, ऐसा नहीं है, बट अब चैंपियंस। और ये देखते हैं अनुपम सर क्या करते हैं। अरे मत दौड़ो, वजन कम हो जाएगा। अरे बॉल खुद ही रुक गई। चौका जस्टिस बनर्जी का। बलवीर सर SLPs का ख्याल रख रहे हैं।
At a House Foreign Affairs South and Central Asia Subcommittee hearing on the US-India strategic partnership, securing a free and open Indo-Pacific, Dhruva Jaishankar, Executive Director of the Observer Research Foundation America, highlighted challenges in bilateral relations. He pointed to the Washington's renewed engagement with Pakistan's military leadership, noting India's long-standing concerns over Pakistan's use of non-state terrorist proxies. Jaishankar explained that third-party mediation has historically emboldened Pakistan, making India wary of external involvement. He emphasized that U.S. policy of de-hyphenation, engaging both India and Pakistan while minimizing interference in dispute. Despite these challenges, he stressed that significant progress remains possible if trade differences and Pakistan-related issues are carefully managed, strengthening India-US collaboration in Indo-Pacific.
Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor. However, this considerable progress in consolidating the relationship is now at a political standstill. The biggest obstacle concerns tariffs. President Trump's desire to balance trade with India and access India's market is precisely what India is offering. India has signed 5 trade agreements in recent years and is actively negotiating at least 5 more. A solution to trade and tariff differences between the United States and India is therefore at hand. The second challenge in India relates to the United States' renewed engagement with Pakistan's military leadership. Pakistan has a long and well-documented history of using non-state terrorist proxies against India. As a result over many years, India's experience is that third-party mediation has often contributed to Pakistan's adventurism. And so the United States has pursued a policy of de-hyphenation between India and Pakistan, engaging with both, but minimizing involvement in their disputes. There remains considerable progress for future collaboration should differences over trade and Pakistan be successfully managed between the United States and India. The outline of what is possible was spelled out by President Trump and Prime Minister Modi in February. This includes $500 billion in trade by 2030, which will be facilitated by a bilateral trade agreement. The United States is now a major provider of oil and gas to India, and coal exports have also increased, and civil nuclear cooperation is possible. As is cooperation.
Tourism and Hospitality Summit in Delhi. Chief Minister Rekha Gupta participates in underscoring the importance of tourism and hospitality in shaping the capital's economic future. She emphasizes that sector not only strengthens Delhi's global image but also creates employment opportunities and fosters cultural exchange. Gupta highlighted the government's commitment to developing infrastructure, enhancing visitor experiences and promoting Delhi as a premier destination for both domestic and international travelers. Her remarks reflected a vision of integrating tradition with modernity, ensuring that tourism and hospitality become key pillars of sustainable growth in the national capital.
प्रोग्राम का, इस कॉन्फ्रेंस का या मीटिंग का जो टाइटल है विकसित दिल्ली, विकसित टूरिज्म एंड हॉस्पिटैलिटी, ये अपने आप में आप सबके यहाँ आने का और मेरे आपसे जुड़ने का एक जो मोटिव है वो एक्सप्लेन करता है। मैं धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगी सुरेंद्र जायसवाल जी का, जो प्रेसिडेंट हैं FHRAI के, गिरीश ओबेराय जी, नीरज थारवाल जी, विनोद गुलाटी जी, अंकिता जायसवाल जी, गुरुबख्श सिंह कोहली जी साहब, और आप सब जो मेरे सामने बैठे हैं, होटल इंडस्ट्री के बड़े आइकॉन्स, ज्योत्सना जी यहाँ बैठी हैं, किदवई साहब हमारे ITC ग्रुप के यहाँ पर हैं, ओबराय ग्रुप के लोग हैं, इवन रेडिसन यहाँ पर है, लीला ग्रुप, रमैडा, ताज, आप सभी इस इंडस्ट्री के आइकन हैं जो लाखों होटल और रेस्टोरेंट देश भर में हैं, ना केवल उन्हें लीड कर रहे हैं बल्कि उनकी डे टू डे की जितनी समस्याएं हैं उनको आपकी ये होटल एंड रेस्टोरेंट इंडस्ट्री वेलफेयर फेडरेशन जो है उसको सहयोग करती है, उनका मार्गदर्शन देती है और हर समस्या से लगातार आप जूझते हुए अपने आप को यहाँ जमाए हुए हैं। और मैं तो कहूंगी कि ना केवल अपनी इंडस्ट्री का, पूरे विश्व में भारत का नाम रोशन करने वाले आप सभी हैं। मैं आप सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई दे।
Union Minister Piyush Goyal attended the Pravasi Rajasthani Divas 2025 in Jaipur, where he lauded Rajasthan for its unique blend of tradition and modernity. He emphasized the state's ability to harmonize development with the heritage and valor with the cultural richness. Goyal highlighted the unmatched hospitality extended to guests, calling it a hallmark of Rajasthani ethos. His remarks celebrated the contributions of the Rajasthani diaspora and underscored the importance of preserving cultural identity while embracing progress. The event served as a platform to strengthen ties between the Rajasthan and its global community, fostering pride and collaboration.
और मैं मानता हूं अगर भारत में कोई प्रदेश है जो परंपरा और आधुनिकता, विकास और विरासत, वीरता और शौर्य सभी को संतुलित करके पधारो हमारे देश सबको इतने प्यार से आमंत्रित करता है, तो हमारा राजस्थान है। यहां हर एक व्यक्ति जो आता है, जो प्यार से, जिस गर्मजोशी से उनका स्वागत होता है, जिस प्रकार से मेहमान नवाजी में राजस्थान ने अपना विश्व भर में प्रसिद्धि पाई है, और फिर जाते जाते जब हम निकलते हैं तो रावत की कचौड़ी और मिर्ची पकौड़ा जरूर पैक करके लेके जाते हैं। पर राजस्थान को अगर समझना हो तो वैसे तो अभी अभी राजवर्धन जी, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो बताया, आर फैक्टर, रेजिलिएंट, रिसेप्टिव, राइजिंग, रिलायबल, रिस्पॉन्सिव, रिफॉर्मिस्ट, वैसे तो रॉयल भी है। उसके साथ साथ प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जब भारत की विशेषताओं को देश और विश्व के सामने रखा था, तो एक डी फैक्टर भी साथ में जोड़ा था। और मैं अभी अभी बैठा हुआ वहां सोच रहा था कि कितनी अच्छी तरीके से ये डी फैक्टर राजस्थान को डिस्क्राइब करता है। भारत के संदर्भ में देखें तो हमारा लोकतंत्र, हमारी डेमोक्रेसी, हमारी ताकत है, लेकिन राजस्थान के परिप्रेक्ष्य में जब हम डी फैक्टर को देखते हैं तो यहां का भी डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड, यहां का युवा शक्ति, अधिकांश लोग 35 वर्ष के नीचे होंगे, मेहनती, देश और दुनिया में जाके राजस्थान का नाम रोशन किया है।